Tonight on Bowling, it's the football special, and we're bringing you the best lineup in the game. Brett Favre, one of the game's greatest quarterbacks in history, joins us to break down the season, the teams, and what to expect on the field. Plus, we have a special guest whose expertise in football betting lines is second to none, giving you the edge you need before kickoff. Who's winning? Who's covering? What should you be watching? We've got all the answers. All right, let's bring in not only one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the world, friends, a good friend of mine, a guy I've known for a very long time, but really a great guy, just an all-around great human being on top of, like I said, I've always said this, and he'll tell you I've been saying this since I've met him and since I've known him. If there's a Mount Rushmore for football and quarterbacks, it would have Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Brett Favre, and the fourth one we'll talk about in just a second. So let's bring in my good friend, Brett Favre. Really good to talk to you, friend, especially a couple of days before the big game. You're a busy man. Appreciate you spending some time with us. And, I really appreciate putting on the nice suit for us because it's, we're so classy around this joint. Good to see you.
Only the best for you, Eric.
Number 4. Good to have you. Good to have you with us. So what are your thoughts on the big game, my man?
Here we are again. What was it, 2 years ago or so? They played in the big game, and here we are again. And for Philly, if I had to say who's going to win, and I'm usually never right, but you got to give the nod to Kansas City, whether you like them or not. I'm just saying they know how to win. But in regards to Philly can beat them. They very easily can beat them. Will the addition of Saquon Barkley be the difference in them winning or losing? If they can run the ball and get points, they don't have to get a ton of points. But if they can run the ball and control the clock and score, 2-3 touchdowns, Saquon doesn't have to run for 200 yards, but if he does, they do win. But if they can control the game for the most part running, they have a legitimate shot.
Yeah, see that?
They don't want to get into a scoring match.
See what you did? You don't even know what you just did there. You just confirmed everything I've been telling these guys over here, the guys I work with. Great guy. We are fanatic football fans. We're fanatic bettors. We gamble. I've been telling my audience since we started the show, late October, that bet against the Giants and the Jets every week, and we went 16-4, 16 wins, 4 losses. And my theory on this game, Brett, and you just nailed it. It's Kansas City should win the game for a lot of reasons. They've been there before. They know what they're doing. Andy Reid, the referees are not a small part of that equation. But if the event Philly wins, it'll be on the back of, you said, ball control, low scoring, Saquon Barkley. So you bet Kansas City and you bet 3-1, 2.5, 3-1 odds on Saquon Barkley being the MVP, because if Philly does win, it'll be on the backs of Saquon Barkley. I love that combination bet.
Well, they did have it, several years ago when they played. They were good, the Eagles. But again, the addition of Barkley is a whole new dimension, and they got to score. We know they got to score, but they also have to, they don't have to kill them running the ball, but they have to be in control of the game. And you assume the Chiefs will score their 21 to 28 points. However, I assume that most people assume it, but. It'll be interesting. I think if there's not a better team that is built to beat the Chiefs than Philly, I believe right now.
Well, with a 1-point spread right now, it's a tight game, right? And so there's a lot that have been said about the referees leading up to the Super Bowl. Kansas City's been getting a lot of nice calls. A lot of it almost is like if someone taps Mahomes on the shoulder, that's roughing the passer. Brett, what's your assessment? Now, it feels to me like there are referee teams that they let them play teams, and there are referee teams that get involved and actually change the outcome of the games. What are your thoughts, and what do you think we'll see on Sunday?
You're absolutely right. There are those, uh, teams of referees, and there's quite a few. Some are trigger happy, others are not. That's just kind of the way it is. I do think that, and I love Andy Reid. He's a dear friend, was a former coach. I always pull for him. But, if you're Andy, if you're Patrick Mahomes, if you're a Chiefs player or you're a Chiefs fan, the refs are doing a great job.
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong with the refs? They're doing what refs?
I think they're the best. They're very fair. Everyone else, not so much. So I think there's a little bit of overkill in some of the flags. It's like 15-yard personal foul. Looked at the quarterback differently. That's kind of what it's like. He doesn't have to hit him, but he puffed a big breath of air on him. Therefore, targeting, he's out of the game.
targeting. he was gonna hit him, but didn't. But he was gonna, so we're gonna throw him out of the game for targeting. Brett, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder, right? I mean, your career, amazing career. What are you like? What are we talking about? Like thousands of completions, 71,000 yards. What would Brett Favre's statistic look like if you had the protection that the quarterbacks have now?
Well, I got to believe that they would be better. That being said, I was very pleased with how I played in my 20 years. It was by no means perfect, but the rule changes are certainly beneficial to the quarterback first and the offenses. So you got defensive players that are afraid to tackle for obvious reasons, for fear of a big fine, ejection, not to mention lose your job, all these. So it all favors the offense right now. And, I'd like to think that I would, be rewriting record books now, which is something I think Mahomes is doing, and a lot of these younger players. They're putting up enormous stats.
Yeah, I think I remember your play, and tough guy, man. Just go right at it. Someone wanted to tackle you. They were going to feel it if they're going to try and tackle Brett in the open field. And I'm thinking, this whole new thing, the tush push, and your fourth downs are now not, a given punt anymore. And you're almost like a hybrid of Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, because you get out of the pocket, you'll throw some sidearm stuff, you just find a way to get the pass off, thread a needle, but you also get down and dirty into the middle and get your nose hurt a little bit too. You're maybe a hybrid of both. Talk to us a little bit about that tush push. That would have probably helped your game too, right? It's got to help anything offense, but also the quarterback.
I've never seen a play where not only do you, as if you're a Philly fan or you're on the Philly team, or you're up in the box as one of the coaches, whatever. When they line up in that formation, we have seen one play, and that's the QB sneak that they have made famous. And it's baffling to me how, I'm not saying that they say this. Maybe they do. We're getting ready to run the quarterback sneak, and there's nothing you can do about it. I've never seen a play so dominating for a yard or two. I think I attribute it to, first of all, the linemen. They get down and they push. They're bringing it to you. And whether you care to know that this is what we're going to run or not, we're going to run it right down your throat, and you're not going to stop us. And that's what they've done.
It doesn't hurt that the offensive line is 26 pounds heavier than any other offensive line in the history of the Super Bowl, and a clear 2 inches taller than any other offensive line in the history of the Super Bowl. I mean, that certainly does
help.
Yeah. You know, you think the Chiefs? There's something I don't know if it's sensitive. I've known Brett a long time, and I know he's one of the nicest guys in the world. He want to say a negative thing about a soul, so I'll go ahead and say it. I think the Aaron Rodgers experiment in the Jets was a mistake. I thought it was at the beginning. It should end. I hope it ends for the people. Actually, I hope if it doesn't end, I'll continue to bet against the Jets every week and make a lot of money. You know, Brett. You know, Aaron kind of followed your career from Green Bay to the Jets. You know, you went on to Minnesota. What are your thoughts on Aaron? Is it time to hang it up? Should he try another team? Is this? He strikes me as someone who just doesn't have the passion to score touchdowns anymore or make first downs.
You know, I think the last 3 or 4 games this season were, to me, at least from Aaron Rodgers' perspective or a fan of Aaron Rodgers, you had to say, well, he still got it. Because in those games, he was prolific, threw, you know, the ball extremely accurate. I mean, just made kind of Aaron Rodgers plays. And so I kind of laugh because it's almost like, you know, he's like, okay, I'm going to tease you a little bit just so I have an opportunity to come back somewhere.
Right. You know? So he's auditioning the last 3 games.
He's like, okay, they think I've lost it. I'll show you. And Aaron's, he kind of is that type of person. Like, you know, he may lull you to sleep. It doesn't have to be playing, just with whatever. And then you know, lead you, you know, to the bait. He's the smartest football player I've ever played with. I mean,
that's not necessarily good. I've been around sports enough and played professional baseball.
That can be good for you.
Correct. Exactly. When you're too smart, sometimes you overthink some stuff and you tend to question what you're doing, and then you get into that hole where you can't. They used to say I couldn't hit a beach ball at one point. I started thinking about that's hitting that outside slider. It wouldn't matter if it was a fat, straight pitch right up the middle at 70 miles. I couldn't hit a beach ball at that point because your mind is taken over at that point. There was a lot of controversy over teams trading to make the Super Bowl, and I'm thinking about Detroit and the Rams, Jared Goff and Stafford, and I'm thinking, was that a good? I mean, both of them have seen success since then, but is it just one of those things where if they just stayed with their original quarterbacks, one or both of them may have made the Super Bowl by now? What are your thoughts on that trade?
Yeah, well, I think it was a lateral trade. It was good for both. So why do it? Jared Goff, I think, has played just unbelievably well. And Stafford, maybe even better, considering you're changing. I mean, it's not easy to change, especially like a guy like Stafford's been around for quite a while. When he gets traded, Jared Goff had not been in the league very long before. I mean, he's a California kid, and moving to Detroit would be in itself a big change. But I think the change would be harder on Stafford because he was sort of entrenched with the Lions. But both of them have gone to their now respective teams and have made their mark. I think. I can't say from an organizational standpoint, just from the outside looking in, that it made much sense at the time to do that trade. You know, it's kind of like you're getting the same guy, and they're both damn good. Mm-hmm. But those two guys have made it look like the right trade for their teams. Mm-hmm. I think they both played exceptionally well.
A couple quick thoughts before I know you're busy and you got to go. Real quick, couple quick quarterback questions. We're all football lovers here. Josh Allen strikes me that they may have won that championship game had he done the same thing he had done for 17 weeks in a row, which was get out there, run the ball, get the D-backs in the back. I don't know. They played Phil. All of a sudden, they decided the Kansas City Chiefs. They decided Josh Allen was going to stay in the pocket the whole game. What was that? I mean, is that just a coaching?
I have no idea. I watched the game like you. I didn't talk to any coaches or anything, so I don't know game plan. what their thoughts were going in. But yeah, dance with the one who brung you. So Josh, we're going to ride your coattails, brother. You play the game exactly the way you played it all year, and we roll the dice. I don't know if Kansas City took that away. I didn't watch it or analyze it enough to.
I don't think they took it, Brett. They didn't do anything differently than the other, top tier level teams that they played and beat the whole season. Anyway, one more quick one. Brock Purdy, probably likely in for a big payday. What are your thoughts of Brock?
Well, I think he deserves it. I think the kid has done nothing but win. This year was a little bit of a struggle, not only for him, but for the team. But that happens. I think he's played exceptionally well and has been tremendous for the 49ers. And I don't know Brock Purdy other than what I see and have heard. I mean, if you're going to give a big contract to a guy, that's a guy that you would trust that would, not take it and just run off into the side. That kid is going to double down and do everything he can to make sure that you get the impression he's earned it. He's already earned it, but I think he's going to do that day in and day out and make you be proud that you gave him a big contract. So I think he's well deserving.
Very good. Last comment, not really a question. How's your golf game?
Terrible.
No, the reason why I ask is
one hole I'm good, 2 holes bad. 3 holes good, 2 holes bad.
The reason why I'm asking, your very good friend, the gentleman I know pretty well, Tim Poncho, says that you and your brother had to buy them lunch because your golf game was suffering a little bit, and apparently you were wearing a sleeveless shirt on the golf course. The golf pro said, "You better listen." I see you showing the guns. I saw something else. You're showing the guns off the other on Instagram. By the way, follow Brett on Instagram. He's showing off his guns all over the place. Was that testosterone? What are you, peptides? What are you doing?
I'm not doing anything. I always do. Before I do your show, I do 50 push-ups.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for that. That's your show prep. I got it. Favre. All right, my man. Appreciate your time. Go kill them, and we'll look for you all over the media in the next few days, and then they'll bring you back afterwards, maybe to assess the game.
Yep. All right, Eric. Good talking as always.
All right, brother. Peace out. All right, let's bring in what I believe is going to be one of the more interesting guests you'll see all day, maybe all month, maybe even all year. His name is Brett Smith. He's been around the wagering community his whole entire life. He's lived it. He's breathed it. He's worked it. He's all over it. Let's bring in Brett Smith, who knows a shit ton about wagering and with the big game on Sunday. Let's talk a little bit about this, Brett, to give us a sense of how big the wager will be for the Super Bowl this year. What are your thoughts? And is it bigger than years in the past?
It seems like it's trending that way. We're seeing a lot of money coming on the Eagles right now. So that's what's outlined, right? You saw a moment where the Chiefs had they were minus 2.5. Now it's dropped all the way back down to 1. And part of that is you some really big wagers coming on the Eagles, $800,000, $750,000. And then you're also seeing 80% of the public wagering right now are coming in on the Eagles against the spread. And then you're talking about roughly 70% coming in on just money line for the Eagles.
What's the game there? I see. So this audience knows that we launched this show in October, and I recommended every Friday or every time before the Jets or the Giants were going to play, I said, bet the team that was playing the Jets and the Giants every single weekend. And for the weeks till the end of the year, we were 16-4. I like Kansas City, and I like Kansas City for maybe reasons other people don't. I like because I think the refs are baking the games for the Chiefs because they like Taylor Swift around. They like the whole narrative. They like Andy Reid breaking a record against his old team. 3 in a row, never been done. Super Bowls. It just feels like the bake is in, the cook is in for the Chiefs. But I also did this. I said, you know, obviously I bet I'm wearing my shirt, my betting shirt, my lucky shirt, let's call it that. I know Saquon Barkley is 250 to 2.5 to 1, so I can bet $1,000 every thousand I bet on the Chiefs. I can bet $300 on Saquon Barkley being the MVP. The theory being, if by chance Philadelphia wins, it'll likely be on the back of Saquon Barkley, the MVP. Am I wrong?
I don't want to tell you you're wrong, right? I'm not going to tell you you're wrong because everybody has a good opinion, right?
Right.
Even people who are ridiculous have opinions. We listen to that out of AOC every day. But here's why I would disagree with you. If this was a regular season game, Philly would be favored probably by close to 5. And with it being a Super Bowl game, they're going to take in the pedigree. They're going to take in the idea that Mahomes has been there. They're going to take in the idea that Andy Reid's done this. They're going to take in that if Jalen Hurts is within 1 yard of a first down, the referee won't give it to him. But I don't really agree with you. I'm going to be honest with you. I think the Eagles.
So let me ask
the Eagles actually run away with the game.
You in your past lives have been pretty involved in actually creating the betting lines for various groups. This whole idea of the tush push, right? It changes the line though, doesn't it? Because I think there are teams who are effective at it, clearly the Eagles being the most, and there are teams that can't do it, but it certainly should weigh in on a game where it's Eagles against a team that can't do it, right?
Well, first off, for the tush push, that's actually the best betting line on this game. There is a game going around. If you've seen this or not, you got to try it. For each yard gained on a tush push, you got to take a shot. I dare you to not be wasted by the end of this game. But I don't have an issue with the tush push. If you can't stop it, that's your problem. It's not the Eagles' problem, right?
No, yeah. Why should they exploit it? Didn't they, correct me if I'm wrong, didn't they change
back their ability to get a first down? That to me is insane. If you can't stop it, that's your problem.
Right, but didn't the rule change a couple of years ago, and the Eagles realized how effective it would be in their favor to use it? You weren't allowed to push a player forward up until about 3 years ago, right? And now they're kind of exploiting it and may go back to where you can't do it anymore. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure.
Well,
go ahead.
I mean, look at it this way, though. We've seen this before. It's not like the tush push is the first time we've seen it. You can think it back in, what was it, 2005, the USC and Reggie Bush. So it's not like this is a new play in football. It's just the Eagles have exposed it and how effective it can be because of how well they've run it. So I'm not an Eagles fan. I don't like the Eagles, and I hate the tush push. In fact, I'm not a Taylor Swift guy either. So you know what? The Taylor Swift versus tush push thing is insane to me. But if you can't stop it, that's your problem. That's not the Eagles, man. And I will be honest, I don't think the NFL should get back on it. The NFL should let it stand. Yeah. Well, they're so worried about offense, right? They're worried about points being scored. They're worried about, they're on the run. This excitement that's going to build, and they're going to try to get a first down or get a touchdown. Can this team stop it? No, if they can't stop it, that's your problem. That's your problem.
But also
think about it this way. On a two-point conversion,
yeah.
Are you more scared of the tush push, or are you more scared of Jalen coming out of the shotgun?
I think they'd be wise to tush push the 2-point conversion from the 2-yard line every freaking single time. You're out. They get 4 yards on the tush push. It's insane. It's almost like a regular play. It should be this in the playbook, not just 4th and 1. It's like 2nd and 6. Why not? Why not? Who knows? But I'm dying to get your sense of how the game has evolved in the betting sphere. Here's what I noticed. Okay, I've noticed that games are much more interesting when I bet them, right? And I've also noticed that if I'm on a betting app, the betting app is probably a minute ahead of what I'm watching on live television. And I'm thinking that's because the NFL is smart and realize that when people bet on their games, they're more likely to watch the game. They're more likely to watch the game till the end. So they're going to not put a casino or a wagering company at risk by having it simultaneous. Like a ball's up in the air, and you can see on TV that the receiver's wide open near the end zone. if it were simultaneous, you could bet a touchdown very quick or bet the line real quick. Am I wrong that the game may be delayed just a bit so that the betting community doesn't get smoked?
I think probably when these lines are set, you got to remember they're setting these lines in a way to try to get equal betting on both sides, right? That's the idea behind these lines, technically. When it comes to the live wagering, there's going to be a little bit of a delay because you got to remember, even the TV broadcast is what, 10 to 15 seconds behind. If you go sit in a suite at a Bucks game and you're watching the game that play happen, you can look over the TV screen 5 to 10 seconds afterwards, and then you're watching on the TV again. So I think you have to protect them a little bit because you don't want the public getting totally smoked all the time. That's not fair.
Well, I don't think they care about the public games, but I meant the gambling institutions, the wagering institutions not getting smoked, so they continue to offer the wager, which is a draw to people like me who want to watch a game that I would normally never watch, but if I got $1,000 on a team, I want to watch that thing till the end, likely. And so I would think that they want to protect the wagering community, the people who sponsor the wagers, who take the bets, so to speak.
You would think. I mean, it's never been said, right? They don't come out and just say, yeah, we're protecting it. So it's kind of hard to give a firm answer on that. But I tend to agree with you.
Let me ask you this. Let's say a different way. Again, folks, Brett is very knowledgeable in all forms of wagering. The parlay. I've done pretty well with parlays, and I actually did very well in the football season. We can talk about my basketball adventures recently. I think I'm like 2-15, 2 wins, 15 losses. I suck at basketball for some reason, but I did very well. In fact, I'm giving my whole football season away in a couple of weeks of the basketball season. Anyway, the parlay bet. Similar odds, better odds, worse odds? Or is there a regulation that keeps your odds or keeps their odds in line so that the public bettor isn't getting hurt?
No, I mean, for each leg you go on a parlay, obviously your odds are going to get worse, right? I mean, to make one thing happen versus 2 or 3 is obviously more likely to happen. Once you start getting past 4, though, man, you're really starting to play with fire. So once you go past 4, those percentages, no matter if your overall odds on the wager plus, minus, that shit does not matter. What matters is the actual chance of it happening. There is a percentage that does get looked at. And to be fair, once you go past 4, it's not always that great. It doesn't matter how likely your wager is to happen to hit off, say, 5 of those legs is not very good. It's just how it's made.
Yeah, and in that note, there's a little, I don't know, I call it a trick that I've done and I like is, let's say you do a 5-game parlay, and you take some easy ones up front. You take some money lines on the ones that are favored up front. So you get, 3 or 4 wins under your belt. And the later ones are a little bit higher risky, so you get a bigger payout. But as you get closer to those, the betting sites tend to offer you a buyout. And sometimes it's a decent buyout, and you maybe can work that. It's just an inside baseball betting. But I think a lot of the people who are watching us, Brett, have followed us through the trials and tribulations of the Jets and Giants season. We have Brett Favre on the show today. Brett Smith, you had a little quick thought for Mr. Favre?
Oh, for Brett? Oh, absolutely. I was a massive Brett Favre fan. I was a fan of the old black and blue division. I grew up going to Bucks games. I loved watching Favre play. I loved watching him get sacked by Warren Sapp even more.
You're a Florida man. I take it you're a Florida man at the time.
Absolutely. Born and raised in the area, man.
Well, as I say, Brett Favre, if there's a Mount Rushmore for quarterbacks, it'll be Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, and, it would have maybe been Dan Marino, but I'm thinking maybe Patrick Mahomes. If I think that's where what at least the short-term history will show. Final thought to Mr. Brett Smith.
Final thought. I think you have some really cool things that can be looked at for the wagering purpose of this. I think a 2-point conversion wager, like a special prop, would be a fun one to have. I would really maybe take a look at Jalen Hurts and that rushing. He absolutely killed it last Super Bowl. He's done it all postseason. Something I would definitely look into. And don't be scared of the Eagles. I know they can't spell Eagles in Philly, but they are a pretty good football.
Only our Democrat mayor of the city can. E-G-L-S-E. Okay, nice try. Try again. Brett Smith, appreciate your time, my man. Talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. Have a good one.
Well, that's it for us on Friday. We're going to watch the big Super Bowl on Sunday. See you again on Monday. We'll talk all about it. Brett Favre was awesome. Brett Smith was great too, folks. Have a great weekend. Good luck.